Good morning everybody, welcome to Wild Earth this morning, and it looks like it's going to be quite a spectacular sunrise this morning. I think it's going to be a little while longer before the sun actually does make an appearance. My name's Tara, joining me on camera this morning is Herman, and back in final control is Craig. I'm quite excited to see if we can catch up with Mishu and Duna this morning. Mark did have them yesterday right here on quarantine, and the baboons were shouting, and managed to guide Mark to them. And that will be down in the south, and maybe see if Karula's made an appearance. Because I did hear a couple of days ago she was having a standoff with her daughter Tingana, so also on the western side, and apparently there was a young male there too, so there was something quite interesting happening there. But from there on I haven't heard anything else, so if anybody has read anything in blogs, if you could send that through, it'd be great to hear from her and see what she's doing. There's a lot of impala here and wildebeest, and I'll fill you in on, for those of you who weren't able to join us yesterday or the day before, I'll fill you in on the antics of what's been happening with Mishu and Induna. I did check on the baboons. They like to sit in the trees just off to our left there, just by Yuri's house, and unfortunately this morning they're not there. I was hoping to have a check on Shirley, see how she's doing with her pregnancy. But it looks like they chose a different tree to sleep in last night, so I'll have to keep my ear to the ground, and if they come back later on this afternoon, then we'll see if we can catch up with them later. But it looks like the sun may start to rise very shortly. And the impala are slowly starting to make their way down towards Gowrie Dam, I think. Franklin's starting to call. I did hear the woodland kingfisher this morning, so they are still around. I think for now, I think the sun is going to be a little while longer yet. We can maybe have a little look at the antics of the impala while we're waiting. Let's see if we can turn the vehicle a little bit. They'll come running down the road, and the wildebeest are actually joining them. Just want to be in a spot where we can still keep a check on what's going on. All seems very quiet. They all do seem to be a little bit jumpy, but tails are flicking. Doesn't seem to be that there is anything around, but maybe there was something around last night. Very common antelope. Voila. I did see Venus a little bit earlier, just before we started up, but I think it's just got a little bit too bright to see it now. And she is, once again, a morning star. Sometimes she becomes an evening star, just as the sun is setting. It's usually around 8 months that she's the morning star. And then 2 months, generally you don't see her. And 8 months after that, she can become the evening star again. But generally, not always. And change the pattern sometimes. And if anybody's interested in watching a meteor shower, then the lyroids should be peaking around the 21st and 22nd of April. The best time to watch them is around midnight. And the meteor showers are named after the constellation which it looks like they originate from. So the Lyra, having the 5th brightest star in its constellation, Vega, actually makes the summer triangle. And there's 3 constellations: the Eagle, Aquila, Cygnus the Goose, or the Swan should I say, not the Goose. Cygnus the Goose, the Swan. I'm trying to say the Goose again. And Lyra, the musical instrument. And the 3 brightest stars from those 3 constellations make up the summer triangle. So I'm just going to pull forward just very slightly off there. I can see the sun starting to rise now. quite beautiful. And as the sun's rising, just had information that Karula's tracks crossed over from Twin Dams towards the pan just south of Twin Dams, Baboon Pan. So it could be worth us checking out around that area, Twin Dams, Treehouse Dam again, Gowrie, Maine. Seeing if there's any more tracks of her coming up this side. And Zoe's Road. I'm just going to turn around and we can have a look at the wildebeest before we head towards Chelapan and down towards Twin Dams Road. Now unfortunately, for those of you who weren't able to join us yesterday, we did find that one of the wildebeest calves was taken, and it's possibly by Nduna. Nduna was pretty full, and he was eating a leg when he was found by Mark. It could have been a wildebeest of a coin, and we saw the reaction of the mother on the southern side of the quarantine open area. The boys were on the northern side. She was stood on the southern side, and she was following the herd down towards Philemon's Dip, but then she kept turning around and making her way back towards the quarantine area, almost as if expecting the calf to join her. I mean, you don't often see the other side of the story, you don't often see the reaction of the parent, and it does go to show that the bond between mother and calf can be very strong. And I think that's her up ahead actually calling, and the rest of the herd is starting to follow now. And I think for us it's one of those things, we start to get very attached to the animals that we start to see on a regular basis, and this wildebeest herd have been here for most of the time that I've been here now. We've been following the progress of the herd and the calves. And if they're part of a bigger herd, then we won't be able to realise when one's missing as well as what we can. And we've got 4 calves there. You can see they're all roughly around the same size. There are a couple more wildebeest towards the back of the herd, also making their way this side. Getting very bothered by flies. Morning all stations. I'm going to be checking Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam area this morning.
Looking for update.
I managed to catch what you were saying earlier. Thanks for the update on the Nkonzos of Karula as well. Copy that. Was that east of Baboon Pan as well?
Just to the calls that we picked up on the Weaver's Nest, there, but you're heading along Gary May. Yeah, we haven't found anything so far.
Copy that. Does it look like it's from Karula or one of the boys? Must have been going through a dip. So Andrew's busy following up on some tracks. It looks like the wildebeest are starting to settle down again. But it does look like there's only 4 calves, so I wonder if someone else has gone as well. That was an Intel Franklin calling there. There's a female impala running around that's just upsetting everybody at the moment. There's the female with the chevron on the nose, right at the back of the herd. So half the herd ran that way with the impala, and that's what set the ones off this side. They're all on the way down. I think she's lost the rest of her herd. She's actually there. Maybe that's why she's getting a little bit agitated, because she doesn't have the sight of her herd yet. She'll catch up with them. She's heading in the right direction. It's always worth checking the herbivores' behaviour, because they may have some telltale signs as to what happened the night before. And what was quite interesting, over that 12-hour period, we'd actually seen one mother save her offspring. And this time it was actually a warthog. We found Mishu by Treehouse Dam. I just happened to see him and he streaked away. So we went over the dam wall to catch up with him. And just as we actually where we saw them, so we didn't influence their behaviour, because I suddenly realised with the warthogs in front of us, and it turned out to be Mishu heading around the side of the termite mound, there's a huge possibility that he was going to try and hunt them. And literally just as this was all happening, so Mishu didn't actually wait too long for the tension to build, I can tell you that. Just as the warthog looked like they were deciding which way they should go, Mishu came bursting out from around the back of the termite mound and dived into the centre of the family, sending warthogs in every direction. And it was only when we heard the squeal of one that we actually realised he'd managed to catch one. And you would have thought a youngster that size would be no match against a leopard of Mishu's size. And you'd be right. But I can only assume it was actually the mother that stopped dead in her tracks, turned around and came charging back in, using the huge teeth, the canine teeth. She actually charged in and charged right into Mishu. And I think he was so shocked he actually dropped the piglet, who scooted off as fast as he could. And she still carried on and chased after Mishu. And all we saw just behind the bush, just off to the side, so you could actually see Mishu jumping about a metre off into the air as the female warthog was obviously trying to get another shot in there just to make sure that he knew not to come after her or her young. Extremely brave warthog. And she then decided that he'd been put in his place enough that she could actually run off. The rest of the family had already scattered by that time. She ran off in the opposite direction. And Mishu was sat there kind of wondering what on earth just happened and why he'd obviously lost his meal. And I do wonder if he was actually following the scent trail. He started putting his nose to the ground again and started following one of the trails. And he every so often kept looking up and looking in the trees. So I wonder if he was on a scent trail with another leopard, possibly in Djuna. And he just happened to see the warthog and thought that would look like a tasty meal. Unfortunately for him, lost his meal. It was definitely nice to cheer on the prey for the time being. And I'm actually very glad that the little piglet got away. He certainly deserved to. It looked like he continued on, and we had to leave him on Rebecca's road, and he was actually crisscrossing all over the road, Weaver's Nest Road and Philemon's Cliff Line, as if looking for where the scent trail went. And then he decided on Rebecca's road and may have met up with them in Djuma that night, possibly on quarantine area. And that's when we found them the following morning. But I don't know, obviously, who made the kill. Mark, to begin with, thought it could have even have been the hyena that made the kill. We have seen hyena chasing impala on the quarantine area. Hyena are very good and capable hunters. But Induna did look fairly full compared to his brother. So it could have been Induna made the kill and Mishu just happened to find him. It could have been that they worked together. Andrew, come in. Sorry, I just missed your last message. Can you go again? Copy, and just at Chelapan now. Could I come down Chelapan Road onto Weaver's Nest?
That's right.
Copy, thank you. Great news, everybody. Karula is on Weaver's Nest Road. And she's not too far away. Oh, fantastic. And it sounds like she might have the cubs with her. Hope you're excited. I said she's somewhere around here on Weaver's Nest Road. So we go from talking about her 2-year-old sons to the lady herself, their mother Karula, and here she is. I'm going to try and pull off to the side here. And they are with her, look! Fantastic! Here she is. What a wonderful way to start the day here on Wild Earth, hey? The Lady of Djuma herself. And with her tail twitching, I wonder if she's seen something. Franklin's just gone up. I think she was actually letting the cubs go and see if they could pounce on the Franklin, but they weren't quick enough. there he goes up a tree, look. Wow. Okay, I'm going to try and turn around. Oh, thank you so much, Andrew. Oh, good morning, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And you found Karula. There's a couple of wee viewers on board with Andrew, and I'm so happy to manage to get to see Karula as well. Karula in the flesh. And I also had another viewer at Voyatella. She also managed to see Karula and the cubs in the flesh. She really is a celebrity, our Karula. It's fantastic. Now, there's not really too much space at the moment to try and pull off. So I'm just going to see if I can sneak up behind. Can you see them through there? Playing in elephant dung. Oh, thank you. Where are you from?
Australia.
Awesome.
We watch you all the time.
Oh, fantastic. But so I'm so glad you got to see her. Sorry? Is that okay? Yeah, here comes the other one. And see, they're watching the mother's movements all the time. As soon as she turned direction, the cubs followed. Thank you. Can you see her? Oh, there. Let's see. No, it's a very deep hole there. Can you see her over there?
Just off-road, carrots, and a follow, off-road, I'm crossing blue and you are blue at now, so I was going to the south from here.
Looks like he's managed to find himself a little bit of a hole there. Now there is quite a big donga in front of us, and I remember trying to look in here for Induno once before. So it's not, unfortunately, going to be easy for us to try and follow her. I do wonder if she's crossing that side, we might be able to catch up with her on the other side. It's quite a wide drainage line. We can try. We'll see how the ground is because it is extremely wet. Are you okay? It's okay. Good morning, Joe. So I was just seeing if they needed us to give them a hand, but he said no, continue on. This ground is looking extremely wet. So remember, we went in this side and we tried to get our way through there, and it really was quite a difficult thing, but let us try. It's also, I think maybe let's try, there's a little 2-track back there, isn't there? We'll see how that is, otherwise we'll then try on Central Road. Stations lost visual of Karula and Pimpans headed east into the Milwati. I'm going to try and relocate.
I'm headed there now. So, yeah, I'm coming over.
Copy, it's very thick 13. I'm going to try a little 2-track that leads down towards the Milwati, see if we can have a look there. And Joe, it just depends on how well you can see underneath the tail, and at the moment the holding the tail is very low, so it's very difficult to see, but I'm pretty sure I did see something between the tail of one of them. I think the size difference also. I'm moving more towards there being a little male, a little female. A shame. Sorry.
You have a rope before? You want to try with the rope? Okay.
Are you? Okay? If you can use your jack, I've got a piece of wood here. You can might be able to put underneath. Oh, is it that side?
Don't have any help from your... Look, we have the rope. That's only the it's only the one way step.
Yeah, if you've got a rope. Okay.
Face that rope. Explain to the viewers.
Okay.
Just turn your nose and I want to show the people.
Just to explain everybody, we have lost Karula, and I don't think... Oh, you know. I'm going to just turn around that way so we can pull forward. And these guys are stuck in a hole. So we're going to just see if we can tow them out quickly. Because the vegetation where Karula went in, as I say, is very thick. So we'll have to try and drive around. So it may actually give us a bit of leeway if she takes her time walking. We may just catch up with her. But with all the rain, say it's not always a good idea to go off-roading. So, for the time being, Herman's just putting the rope on the gunder and hopefully be able to pull them out. And hopefully the guests can get back on the game drive as well. And we'll then take that little 2-track, see how it is. And if it's drivable, then we'll head down towards the drainage line. Okay, you guys, good? Okay, guys, just stand back a little bit, hey?
Wait.
The rope just came off. Wow, the sun's getting quite hot now as well. Abel, come in. Lost them just opposite where we are now. I can still hear some calling, so she went in exactly there.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, let's try again.
Okay.
Slowly.
Okay. Yes! We did it. So they're out and everyone can climb aboard again. And that's the way of it. Next time, no worries. Next time we stuck, we might need their help as well. It's always worth helping each other. No problem. But I am still hearing sounds in here. So I wonder if Karula is still in here. So the way she was walking, she looked like she was going to head that way. Good morning to you, Lindsay. Lindsay wanting to know who fathered the cubs. And it's always quite difficult to really know for sure. Because even if you see a male mating, if you don't see the mating for the whole process, you don't know if there's been another male that's come in at the last minute and started mating. Okay, that 2-track is a bit too far down, and with the squirrels calling here, I do think she's just in here somewhere. But we do think that we did see Yambili Ordan mating with her. So the chances are he probably is the father, as long as there was no other male that came in. That's gonna hurt. Here we go.
You pause just so enough to drop that in my GoPro.
Okay. Where to go? Knobthorn. Little hooks. You're gonna just watch yourself there. It's gonna flip back. But when Induna was lying in here, we took this little road here, and so far it looks okay. It looks fairly solid. under on there. I'm sorry? It is. How did we get through here last time? So it was definitely here. Okay, let me just switch off and just see if we can hear anything again. Yeah, because we're actually going further down to the dip now. So even though this is fairly dry, we're getting closer to the riverbed. And there's a lot of deep grooves, if I remember rightly, just in front of us. And I remember I had to turn very, very sharply there. But I was hoping, with the squirrels calling to our right, I was hoping they might have just been out onto the little hill in front of us. But I don't think so. It's quite tight to turn around in there. But the squirrels have gone quiet now, which means she may have carried on. So let's try on the other side. But if all else fails, at least we managed to see her nicely and spend a little bit of time with her. Okay, let go of my wheel. Let's see. Yeah, if you can just hold it just out the way slightly. Yeah. Okay, if I pull back here, you think that's going to be long enough? Okay. So just while Herman sorts himself out, let's see if we can show you this track. And I would like you to quantify it. Oh wait. Well, and that is cool. So that's why I was kind of throwing it out there. And it could be possible. Maybe if there is two males that happen to mate a female, it could possibly be that could happen. Obviously it would depend on, so they have to go through a few matings before that happens. So it does depend if another male comes in, when that male comes in. Are you ready? Should we go for it? Okay, we want to go, I don't want to step on them now that I've found them, here. No, there we go, just here. So without having the sun, I think we need to come around this way, there we go. So this is what we're looking at just here. I'm going to have to obviously listen to Craig, but if we can maybe put my finger here, hopefully you can see that quite nicely.
Come up at a higher angle.
There we go. Experimenting here. So you can see the track starts here and ends here, and my finger, it probably comes up to about there on my finger. So we're looking about 2.5 centimeters in length, something like that. And here, if you have a look, you can just about make out these tiny little marks, which are actually the claws of this animal. So if anybody wants to try and send through what they think it is, then send it through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv and put in the subject what you think it belongs to. So you can just about see the claws there, and then you can see where the toes actually went in. Those tiny little marks there. And it's not too easy to see because it's quite There's quite a lot of sand that's been mixed over it, but you can maybe able just to make out the pad here. So this is the pad just here. So basically my finger can fit into the back pad. So that's what we're actually seeing. So that length. So have a guess at what animal you think that is, and if I can show you while we have the sun here without showing you what it is. If I can, if you don't show them that one, show them this one. So that's basically the track that we're seeing on the sand. This one here. If you're seeing that. So send your answers through. Okay, you guys ready to get back on board? There's no buffalo around, so we can continue on. It's nice to actually be able to show you the track up close and actually see what we see. And hopefully it can show you in a little bit more detail than what we've been able to show you before. And again, one we don't often get a chance to see, because with it being so small, you don't often get a chance to see all the parts that we're registering. So we'll continue looking for Karula and the cubs. I think she probably would have had enough time to make her way through the drainage line now. Are we all good to go?
No.
Okay. She has popped out the other side. We may be able to see her again. And if anybody would like to follow Karula a little bit more closely, she does have a Facebook fan page. And whenever we see her, or if ever I hear of anything that's happening with her or the cubs, then I always post up on her Facebook page. So if you'd like to know the latest of what's going on with her, and you've got Facebook, then sign up to her Facebook page and I'll be able to let everybody know as and when. If I hear anything, whether it's morning, noon or night, as soon as I get a chance to go on Facebook, I post it up there, and also write the blogs as well. So I will be writing a blog today for those people who haven't been able to join us today. So if anyone got some great pictures, unfortunately my long lens on my camera is not working, so I'm only able to use my short lens. I've only been able to use it when she comes very close. So if anybody would like to share any pictures that we got this morning, I'd appreciate it, as I'm sure the other viewers will as well. I can use those on the blog and show people what they got up to today. So if you'd like to send those through to tara@wildosafari.tv, I would be very grateful if you would like to share them. Ooh, wow. We should be able to make it home. Okay, how am I on that side? Can I? Alan, hyena, Jody, possibly a serval from Jody. Elizabeth, a blue poison dart frog. I always love your guesses, Elizabeth. At least it's not a great white shark this time. And Linda, porcupine. All great guesses. I'm glad to hear that I don't have any antelope there. So you guys could see that it wasn't an antelope. Joe also saying serval. So at least you're seeing an animal, apart from Elizabeth and a poison dart frog, that is part of the same family, at least, or same suborder. The cat order. Hyena is a little bit too small for hyena. Hyenas, Alan, you're looking to be about this sort of size, so probably just a little bit smaller than my hand. You're looking for that sort of size for a hyena. Serval, small cat. Again, serval, you're looking about this sort of size. So, still waiting. Let me give you a proper size of it. Because me and sizes, because I used my finger. So, the actual size of the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 centimeters, 2.5, about 4 centimeters. So if this was the track, I usually use my thumb. I just use the finger because it was easier to show you. So I'm trying to stand behind the camera. So because my thumb is always with me, I usually use that as a guide to the length. So all down the side here. So I know that's roughly about 4 centimeters, about 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, about 5 centimeters down here. So, about 4 centimeters in length. Serval is a little bit larger. So I'll wait to see if anyone else does guess right before I reveal the answer. Drive along. So when we've had the cheetah here, the cheetah went in around here, and they actually came out roughly, I think, where Karula came out or went in. So I think that is a game trail that leads from Twin Dams out onto Vulture's Nest, which is where we are now. And I was hoping maybe she would have used that. Maybe she has chosen a location to hide the cubs, and she may go hunting around Gary Dam and the open area. I think that's the closest area to where there's quite a lot of food in the form of the impala. Okay. So I think Jody there saying a baby Markfoot. I'll tell him that you reckon you have claws. Those little marks with the claws there. And Laura. Laura is the closest so far with Slender Mongoose. Hey, Franklins. Chris saying cheetah, still a little bit too small. And Holly Caracol, still a little bit too small for them. And Joe also saying cheetah. So at least we're in the right order, the cat order. And Linda saying a civet. Civet, slightly more rounder actually, and you don't really see the claws registering that well. Come on parents, come and find your little chick. going to continue feeding along the road. And there's a big enough gap. That's wild dog. Again, close with the claws. Lisa, African wildcat. Not quite. With the cat, you wouldn't really get the claws registering. Michael and Karen, well done. You got it right. So the cats don't really register the claws unless it's very, very thick mud. Sometimes you might get the claws, but generally speaking you won't see the claws, except with the cheetah. Cheetah you do see the claws registering. So I like the thought patterns there with the animals with the claws. But Michael and Karen, right, with the white-tailed mongoose. So the size and the claws registering. Giraffe! No, it wasn't a giraffe track. White-tailed mongoose track. But thanks for all the guessing. I say I like the trail of thought there. So quite a small track. Think about the size of a white-tailed mongoose. Now I shall try and show you a picture after we have a look at this beautiful young male giraffe. Look at the size of those ossicones. The horns on top of his head. They're actually very thick. He's got quite a small head. Any stations interested? There's one Glamiti Junction, Vulture's Nest and Central. What are you seeing, little one? Maybe there's some more giraffe around. Oh, there is. There's another one that's going to pop out behind the bush. So you might be able to see from this angle the fur on top of those horns is worn off already. So he's obviously been sparring. And that's how the fur wears down on a male's horns. Here comes the other one. So we've got a little bachelor group here.
I enjoy my job.
They're just so graceful in their movements. And if you watch the way a giraffe walks very closely, if we try and get it a little bit close to them again, most animals will walk with their one of the front feet and the opposite back foot, and then vice versa, but the giraffe walks both the front and back foot of the same side together. Now I wonder if he's seen something. Should we get a little bit closer? Hoping maybe he spotted Karula. Giraffe eyesight is really quite exceptional. And if a giraffe stops and stares, it can mean they've seen something. And it can be quite far into the bush as well. But it can also mean there's another giraffe approaching. Depends on how they hold the head. One's going to poke out from behind the bush here. Oh, sorry, mister. It's on a little hump there. It'd be fantastic if these two started sparring now. It looks like he might try. Now the giraffe males will stand shoulder to shoulder and they'll swing their heads down and hit the opponent around the chest or the neck area. And using their heads, that's how that fur on top of the horns wears down. And they'll eventually form lumps on top of the head from the calcium deposits, and that thickens the skull. So it gives them almost like a crash helmet to protect their heads. It did look like he was nudging him. So it might be worth just following these boys down to somewhere where it's a little bit more open. They may just start sparring for us. The giraffes don't hold on to a territory. Roll forward a little bit more. We'll get birds. But they'll also be in a bachelor group. Now, what's this giraffe seen, I wonder? He's looking down. And his ears are pointing forward. Maybe there was just some movement in the bush. They are very curious creatures. Now he's watching the other male, also standing quite motionless, looking into that way. They're both looking the same direction now. Moving to get a better look. I've seen them walk right up to cheetah. There's two cheetah lying down, and they were watching, and then it was almost as if they were egging each other on how close they could get. So depending on the threat, especially to two bulls this size, cheetah aren't really going to be able to threaten them. But a lion could. You can try and roll forward so you might be able to see him through the bush. Yeah, you can see him there. There he comes. What have you seen, mister? Have heard giraffe give an alarm call for a cow before. I was getting so excited because I thought they may have seen a leopard, which we didn't often get a chance to see on my old reserve. And all 6 giraffe were stood watching and snorting, and it turned out to be a cow that was upsetting them. The other one's still around. I haven't moved too far. I'm hearing another vehicle further down the way. I'm wondering if that's what's catching their attention that side. Again, he is looking down. See that? It's quite funny. Animals that get used to the sound of the engine seem to prefer it on when you move. I do test it from time to time. We're just rolling down quietly. And he stood watching us. And we're still quite a distance from him, but he didn't seem to...
From the Y junction, there's Madam Congo suffering north towards the Prime Ivory.
He didn't seem to appreciate it, but actually putting the vehicle on and getting to about the same distance, he was fine with it. Let's have a quick look around the corner.
Yeah, maybe.
He's still looking that way. We'll make a quick turn around here and come back this way. See if there's any tracks here. Lots of hyena tracks here. See, now part of me wants to go and check out Twin Dams just in case. Karula, maybe whatever it was will come out onto the road. So it could even have been a kudu that caught their attention. They were just trying to check out what it was. They're further into the bush now. Busy feeding in that area, so I think whatever it was that it did see couldn't have been anything too major. Okay. That was worth a try. And actually, for those of you who are not sure what a white-tailed mongoose looks like, I did promise I was going to show you a picture. So there you go. This is a white-tailed mongoose just here. This one down here. So you can see where it gets its name from, this beautiful white tail. Length, probably... Oh, tell me when you zoomed out. Largest of the mongoose that we have here. Body-wise is probably about that length, and probably the same for the tail again. and it stands maybe about that sort of height off the ground. Hence why it has paws that are very small. So if I can put that there. So this is what we were looking at earlier, the track of the white-tailed mongoose, which I would have shown you a little bit earlier if we hadn't have found the giraffe. But the claws were registering, and the 4 toes. You don't often see the back one, the back claw registering, and then the little pad at the back. What you couldn't see was the front tends to slope, and the back you tend to be able to draw a box around it, but with all the thick sand the paw had gone too far into the sand and you couldn't really see the detail too well that time. But at least you could see the toes and then the claws registering quite nicely. So that was the track of the white-tailed mongoose. So we're going to head round Gary Dam. Sorry, I keep forgetting. And I think we'll check out Twin Dams, as we were going to do. And down in the south. Sounds like everybody is now journeyed north. So they're following up on line tracks, probably the Unkahumas. So one last try at seeing if we can relocate Karula. And if anybody just joined us, we did have Karula and the cubs first thing this morning. And she was leading them up Weaver's Nest Road, turned down towards Chelapan, and then all the way along Twin Downs Road. And she turned off somewhere into this drainage line here. And she might be hiding the cubs away there to go and hunt either now or a bit later on. And unfortunately we couldn't follow. There's a big donga in front of us, a big ditch. And I know that area very well where she went in, and it's not an easy area to drive in the dry times, and with all the rain that we've had, the ground it's very boggy. I was going to try the 2-track that leads down into the drainage line, but then we did hear the calling of the squirrels, so it sounded like she was still further north of that 2-track and heading either east or north. The impala have made their way down to the dam now. And so the wildebeest. Sure, there's a lot of dead leaves there. It look like the body of a leopard. Let's look again. And I'd love to check to see if the crocodile's back again. Saw him a couple of days ago. I wonder if he's basking. No, not today. Certainly keep a watch on the waterhole camera. Oh look, there's a snake in the road. Tiny, tiny snake.
Too close to it, you're going to have to pull back.
Oh, am I too close?
Yeah, we can't see it.
And this is one snake. Even though it's small, it could do a lot of damage to you. You can see it now.
Okay. Yeah.
basking in the sun. Maybe you guys want to have a guess of what it is. Bit difficult to see the head, but it's quite a triangular shaped head. And if you watch the way it moves, this particular snake tends to move in a straight line, using those long scales underneath its body to give it grip. So as some parts of the body contract, the rest relax and stretch the snake out, and they can actually anchor themselves with those scales underneath the belly. Rectilinear motion. Moving very slowly. It's probably still a little bit cold. Can you actually see the movement there quite nicely?
Yeah, very well.
So not all snakes move from side to side. Beautiful pattern. Quite a small one. They can usually get maybe about 3 times larger than this one. And I will not be handling it. So that may help you in the idea of it. Triangular shaped head. And they have fangs that fold away. So you do get different types of fangs in snakes. You get some that are fixed at the front, some that are fixed at the back of the mouth and they don't move. But this is the front hinged fanged snake. So the fangs fold away, and when they do strike out, they're actually one of the fastest striking snakes here in South Africa, probably the fastest striking in South Africa. And they'll strike out, inject the venom into a rodent or whatever the prey that runs by them, and then they'll follow that scent of the rodent as the venom kicks in. Now if it was to bite us, it starts to break down the cell or the tissue, and it starts to go black, and wherever you've been bitten will start to swell up. So if you get bitten on your finger, you can definitely say goodbye to your finger, and maybe your wrist, up to your wrist, and maybe even your arm, depending on how much venom they inject. I don't think, can we see it too well at the moment?
Yeah,
Not really. Now the reason why they're called a puff adder is because when they're threatened, they'll actually inflate themselves, and you can actually hear it. It goes, and that's actually a warning that you're getting too close to it. And quite often, people think that snakes are gonna start trying to bite you as soon as you walk up to them, and that's not the case. They'll actually warn you. Now I have noticed there's a woodland kingfisher sitting in the tree. If we're able to see it, I think it's just spotted the puff adder on the ground. So it does look like it. And if there's any dwarf mongoose around, they may try and attack it, or even just try and push it out of the area. Because it is quite a small puff adder. I think for the time being, I think the woodland kingfisher's just keeping an eye on it at least. I'd love to try and actually give you a size comparison. I'm just a bit worried if I try and go up, he's probably not going to try and bite me, but I don't want to chase it off. He's probably about this length.
Yes, second.
Oh, you're still on there, sorry. Oh, you can see him coming out now.
Just quickly going to lose picture.
Okay, we're just going to lose. Yeah, and welcome back. Layers here. And all of a sudden, it becomes extremely warm here in Africa. As soon as the sun starts to beat down, okay, I'm going to see if I can stand somewhere close by, obviously not so I can get bitten. I just want to see if I can give you a size comparison. I'll see how it reacts, because it does look quite sluggish, so I shouldn't scare it off.
Yeah, a little bit more.
So his head is probably about this sort of size. Quite a small head. Length of the body is about this sort of size. And he is very sluggish. So I think that's, see why he's picked that spot there. He can blend in a little bit. But one thing about the puff adder is the scales are very, very rough. And again, they'll actually rub against each other as well, and that also helps to create the sound. So it really is quite a beautiful snake, and the pattern on it is really quite something. But he looks quite dull, and I'm wondering if he's actually coming to that point where it's needing to shed, because it also looks like the eyes have also gone this pale creamy colour, which is also an indication that they're needing to shed. But it's unusual for them to come right out in the open like this, because that's when they're the most vulnerable. So they'd normally try and rub themselves against a branch or a rock or something like that to try and help peel the skin off, and then they can actually just wriggle out of the skin, and then they'll have obviously the old skin left behind, and their new skin will be slightly loose, and they can then grow into that. And snakes will shed their skin depending on how much they've eaten. If they've eaten a lot, they can shed their skin fairly rapidly, whereas if they haven't had a meal for quite a long time, they won't have been able to expand, and there will be no need to shed their skin. So it does depend a lot on how often they eat. But I don't think he's going to be moving off the road anytime soon. So I think for the time being we're going to turn around and maybe head up Mvubu Road and come down maybe Gallego shortcut and head back out onto the open area. And with the wildebeest and the impala being here, I don't think Karula's made her way up this side as yet. Maybe she's still in the drainage line. Are we on that side real quick? Oh, I can hear the dwarf mongoose. And a snake that size, I think the dwarf mongoose could actually tackle it. And again, I don't think the kingfisher was going to go for the puff adder. I think it might have been just a little bit too big. But who knows? I think if it was going to try something, it would have done it. And I tend to go more for the lizards and the frogs. Things like that. Maybe small rodents. As I say, it's quite a small puff adder. Managed to catch it before it got bitten. And it might be successful. Looks like a rhino came up here. At some stage. Wow, it's really getting nice and warm now. It's going to be a beautiful day here in Djuma. So I think maybe later on it's going to be worth checking out some of the mud wallows and the pans and seeing if there's anyone wallowing. Especially after the last couple of days, they've been quite chilly. I had a jumper and a long sleeve shirt on yesterday, most of the day. Hyena tracks again, looking like leopard. I'd love to see the hyenas again. Floppy-eared did make an appearance. Floppy-eared female who's the matriarch of the clan. And while Induna was chewing on a bone, a leg, the floppy-eared female was running backwards and forwards, so she could smell, but she couldn't see him. And maybe trying to relocate where that leg had gone. She did have a couple of youngsters with her, so it could have been her cubs. But I think they might still be a little bit too young to join her on a foraging expedition. So they usually start to join when they're probably about 7 or 8 months old. And I think it's probably around November time that she looked pregnant. So they'll probably be left at a den somewhere for the time being. So we're on to Buffles Hook Upline now, northernmost boundary. Tracks of the rhino crossed over, unfortunately. So we should try down Gallego shortcut. It certainly has been quite a fantastic morning this morning. That puff adder, that's actually the first time I've seen a puff adder here on camera. I saw one probably about a month ago now, just at the end of drive. It was getting quite dark and we just closed down and we were just on the way back to camp, and there was a big puff adder, about 3 times as large as the one that we saw now on the side of the road. They're quite a short, quite a fat snake around the middle. If they're going to be around here. Unfortunately, the sun's a little bit too high now to show you the porcupine tracks. There are some porcupine tracks there too, obviously from last night. Yep, we've got more hyena tracks here. There's a giraffe feeding on the marula. Possibly the fruits or the leaves. So I shall be saying goodbye. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's been a wonderful morning with Karula and the cubs and the puff adder and also the giraffes as well. I hope you've enjoyed as much as we have here. Thank you for all your questions and all your answers. Hope you've enjoyed the tracking side of things as well. But for myself, Herman, and back in Final Control, Craig, I shall be saying goodbye and take care. We'll see you again soon on Wild Earth. Bye everybody.